Portents of Fear is a horror fiction podcast which is intended for mature audiences. Discretion is advised. Welcome, Fearlings, to another weird and horrifying tale made just for you. I am your host, Michulhu, and I'll be your guide into the macabre and mysterious. In tonight's story, we learn how important believing in yourself is in losing yourself. Before we get started, take a moment to like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell so you don't miss a single terrifying story. Harold Taubin walked into the visitation room with a smile on his face. He looked at home in an orange jumpsuit, Perez thought. It had been 2 years since Perez was attacked in his office by this man, but he had questions. The court case took months. The defense was trying an insanity angle, and it worked. No one believed Perez. How could the ghosts of Harold's victims be in his brain? It was obvious to everyone that the serial killer had gotten to the good doctor, traumatized him. "Dr. Perez, what a surprise," he spat. A guard stood at the door. "I didn't think I was allowed visitors." "You're not. I'm still listed as your therapist, so they let me see you," Perez said. "I need to thank you. Your performance on the stand was epic. I think it helped my defense, telling a room full of strangers that I didn't hear voices but instead was being haunted by my victims. Well, you looked crazier than I did." "We both know neither of us are mentally unstable." "Still playing the language police, I see. Mentally unstable, really? Does changing the verbiage help you cope with the fact that people think you're crazy now? That no one in their right mind will see you as a therapist? No one's here but the guard, and let me tell you, he's not afraid of colorful language. You can say crazy or insane, Doc. I know. How about the R word? You know which one I'm talking about. I bet you've sat in your chair and thought, boy, that idiot's a real Enough! I won't get sucked into a semantics debate with you. If you're not here to shoot the breeze, then what can I do you for, doctor?" "Are you still haunted?" "Nope. As soon as I got sentenced, they left. Justice served, I guess. They were driving me insane. Sorry. They were causing me mental instability. Is that better? But now they're gone. Almost worth a life sentence in the loony bin. Oh, geez. Should have said mental health facility, right? Can I ask you something? Does soft language change the condition, or just make the person using it feel better about themselves?" Harold inquired. "You want to waste our time with this stupid game? Fine. You're a psychopath who should have gotten the needle. We both know you're not really insane. You knew exactly what you were doing when you killed all those people, and if I had my way, I'd put a bullet in your skull." Harold grinned. "There, was that so hard? You and your kind spend too much time dancing on eggshells. Doesn't it feel good to talk normally? I am a psychopath, and according to the court of opinion, we're both insane. I may be locked up in here, but I get to live in your mind till you die. In a way, you're my final victim and my best work. Who's going to want to see a crackpot therapist? Maybe you can get a job at Lenny's waiting tables," Harold laughed. "You done? It's your time, my friend, just making conversation. How many people did you really kill? Not that BS number you sold to the jury." Harold shifted in his seat. "Tony told you, remember? 27, I think it was. But who knows, she may have been wrong. Why? I'm locked up and it's done. The families deserve closure, Harold. Why not just tell me? Do some good for once." Harold stood. "I thought you knew me better by now, Doc. I like knowing that they're suffering. No, I won't tell you the real number, not now at least. But you're free to keep coming back and trying. I like our talks." He left. The AC kicked on, startling Dr. Perez back to reality. It was just past 9, and he'd been sitting in the kitchen for an hour thinking about what Harold had said. He'd been right about one thing. No one wants a mentally disturbed therapist. His finger slid along the scar on the right side of his face, a souvenir from a serial killer. Dr. Perez had dealt with violent patients before. Rage can make a person forget they're human. Or maybe rage makes them more human. The jury was still out. But in all his years as a psychologist, he'd never encountered true evil. A narcissistic killer with no feeling of remorse who almost got away with it. Perez came close to death. Oh, and there were the ghosts. Real ghosts of Harold's victims. But no one believed him. He glanced at the clock, 11 p.m. Sleep wasn't going to happen anytime soon, he decided. Grabbing his keys and coat, he headed out the door. There's at least one seedy bar in every city, a place only the locals know about and happy people avoid. The kind of establishment that sells cheap beer by the pitcher and crap whiskey by the bottle. Here, Adam Perez wasn't a doctor or a victim or mentally ill. He was nobody, just another loser looking to drown his sorrows surrounded by ambiance. "You're back," Tandy said. She placed a beer in front of him, more water than hops. Tandy had caught Perez's eye the first time he came in. She was stunning in a hometown way, but it wasn't just that. She oozed kindness, as if she was a nurse for an ailing world. "Yep, I am. I might want something stronger tonight," Dr. Perez stated. Tandy raised an eyebrow. "I see. What do you have in mind?" "Whiskey." "Nope." "What do you mean, nope?" "I mean, no, I'm not serving you whiskey. My job, as I see it, is to understand the people who come through that door. You've been coming in here for a week. You're not like the rest of these sad sacks, and I'm not going to help you turn into one. So you get watered-down beer and a sympathetic ear. That's it. You'll give the rest of these people what they want, but not me? I could go to another bar, Dr. Perez protested. "Yeah, but other bars are full of loud music and young people. That's not the vibe you're looking to wallow in. As for giving others what they want, like I said, you're not them. This is their bar. They're trapped here. I don't want you to become trapped here too." Dr. Perez nodded, understanding her logic in a twisted way. He took a sip of his beer and sat in silence. The room felt more like a tomb than a bar. He nursed his beer and waited for Tandy to speak again. He didn't want to start the conversation, but he wanted one all the same. "Okay, what's your name?" she finally asked. "Adam Perez, formerly Dr. Perez. Psychology was my field of expertise." "Why, formerly?" "I was attacked in my office by a serial killer. During his court case, I had a meltdown screaming about how he wasn't mentally ill, but that his victims were haunting him. It was bad, so all my patients dried up," Perez recounted. "I remember you now. You were all over TV. Seems to me like you just need time to process the trauma, but I'm just a bartender." "Maybe," he replied. "I have an idea. You take me to dinner Saturday, and we can talk about all of it," she smiled at him. "I think I can handle that." "Don't be so sure, cowboy." She glided away to help another lost soul. A voice spoke up from behind. "Hello, sir? Can I speak with you?" Perez turned to look. Sure, but if it's about finding God, I'm not interested." "Oh, no, sir, it's not. I'm Gil Harton, and this is my sister Carol. We were hoping to speak with you." Dr. Perez turned for a better look. The man couldn't have been older than 18, skinny, with dark black skin, large brown eyes, and short shaved hair. Perez could tell this was the first time this kid had ever been in a bar. His eyes darted between the other customers, looking for threats. The girl wasn't much older, but had a 1,000-yard stare. She was quiet, so much so that he wondered if she had a heartbeat. Her skin was lighter than her brother's, and her hair was in braids that reached down to the middle of her back. She looked sickly, rail thin with sunken eyes of brown and black. "Sure, what can I do for you?" "Can we speak at one of the booths?" The young man gestured. Perez smiled and followed them to a booth. The woman seemed to glide more than walk, and the man's gait seemed odd, but Perez figured it must be some old injury. They sat. "Okay, what would you like to speak with me about?" "We know you from TV. You were attacked by Harold Taubin 2 years ago in your office. You said that he was being haunted by ghosts, that he was able to stand trial. You believed what you were saying, right?" Whoa, I'm sorry, but I'm not giving interviews." Perez started to leave, visibly shaken. Tandy noticed from behind the bar and started to make her way over. "Please, sir, we're not reporters. We need your help." Perez stopped as Tandy reached him. "Everything all right?" she asked. Perez took a breath and calmed himself. "Yeah, I'm all right, thank you. Those two don't look old enough to be in here. I'll need ID." "I don't think they are, but they say they need my help. Can they stay long enough to tell me what's going on?" Perez asked. "Yeah, but not too long. Cops sweep all the bars. Last thing I need is a fine." "Got it." Perez turned back to the table and sat. "Okay, if you're not reporters, who are you?" "Victims like you. You said that his victims were haunting him. Do you still believe that?" "At the time, yes, but I now understand that he was playing a sick mind game with me." "That's the same response you gave all the news outlets. So it was all fake? You don't believe in the supernatural?" Gil pushed. Perez looked at this young man hard for a moment. "No, I don't," he lied. "Harold Taubin is a deeply disturbed man. Now, why are you asking me this?" I was hoping you could help my sister and I move on. See, we're both dead. Gil took his hand and passed it through Carol's torso. She shimmered for a moment as if she was made of mist. Perez just stared. Tobin killed her 5 years ago. Well, losing her was too much and I followed a year later, by my own hand. I thought after he was convicted we'd move on. We just want to rest. We thought if you believed in the supernatural, if you helped his other victims, you could help us. I'm sorry, I can't. Dr. Perez ran from the bar, bursting through the door into the night. Tandy called after him, but he was gone. Perez woke up on the floor of his living room several hours later. Someone was knocking at the door. He looked at his door camera app. To his horror, Gil and Carol stood outside. He pressed the intercom button. I'm sorry, but I can't help you, please. Go away, he stammered. Gil looked at the camera. Please, Dr. Perez, we're not going to hurt you. We need your help. Just talk with us? After a few moments, the doctor opened the door. I'm not sure how I can help. Can we come in? Gil asked. Perez, filled with fear, stepped aside to let them in. He had no clue why. Okay, I'll hear you out, but that's it. Thank you. That's all we ask. May we sit? Perez nodded, still not sure what the hell he was doing. Carol was kidnapped by Tobin on the way home from her job. Like I said, this was 5 years ago. Once we realized something was wrong, my parents called the police, but they weren't helpful. We went to the media and tried to spread the word of her disappearance. After a week, I had a strange feeling. I knew the moment he killed her. I felt it in my bones. She's my twin, and we have a connection. Carol looked at her brother with love in her ghostly eyes. Can you speak? Perez asked her. She didn't respond. She hasn't so far. When she first appeared next to me, I was like you, afraid. I ran. But no matter where I went, she was nearby. How can I see her or Tandy at the bar? She can decide when she's seen. As for me, I'm still corporeal, even though I'm dead. I don't understand. You look alive to me. Gil squirmed. When they found her body, it threw the family into a deep depression. My mother was the first to go. The shock was too much and her heart gave out. My father started to drink heavily. He ran his car into a telephone pole. Gil showed Dr. Perez his wrists. Carol placed a hand over the scars. I see. I can't imagine the pain you were feeling. I shouldn't have done it. I should have tried to find her killer, but losing everything. It was like being in the darkest pit you could imagine. Then Tobin got caught, and she said that was her killer. I had hoped his guilty verdict would set her free, but it didn't. I understand. Are your parents ghosts as well? No, they passed on to the afterlife. I don't know why we haven't. But you still have a body. Yeah, I guess I'm like a zombie or whatever. You eat brains then? Gil looked confused. No, I eat normal food. Why? Why what? Why would an undead being eat normal food? Zombies eat flesh, vampires drink blood, etc. Is that all just fiction? I don't know. I get hungry, I guess, and I don't want to hurt the living. That's good, but are you sure you're actually dead? Yes. Look at my wrists. I died. I bled out. Gil shoved his wrists forward. I can see the wounds, but listen. I think you were feeling guilty about your family being dead and you still being alive. But those wounds are not deep enough, and they're going the wrong way. I'm dead. I remember blacking out, seeing a bright light, and walking away from it. I'm dead. I'm not some idiot who would botch the job. It's all right. I understand why you're upset, but I need you to take a step back and think. When did your sister reappear? Before or after they found her body? After? But I knew the moment he killed her. I felt a stab in my brain that almost made me blind, Gil recounted. I believe you. You two have a connection. Did your mother see your sister's ghost? No, she didn't, Gil replied, looking down. But she did have a heart attack, and your dad died in a car crash? Yes, they were devastated. Losing Carol was too much. She was everything to them. She had a bright future. I didn't. Part of me thinks that they were upset it was her and not me. Why do you think that? I'm not sure. I really didn't do anything after graduating. I had no real path forward. My sister was the one with all the talent. I let them all down. I could have been there for all of them, not such a big disappointment. Did they tell you that? Perez looked at the clock like he was running a session. Harold flashed through his mind. The feeling of the blade hitting his jawbone. He could hear the victims. He swallowed his fear. They didn't have to. I could tell in their eyes what they thought. It got worse when Carol died. Then, when they found the body, well, I wasn't enough to stick around for. Not having direction is not the same as not being talented. Everyone has the potential to do something great. It just takes some people longer to achieve their goals than others. I'm betting that your sister wouldn't agree with you about not being talented. She shook her head yes. I think your sister came back to stop you from following her. Is that right, Carol? The ghostly girl looked at Gil and nodded. She mouthed something to him, and he started to cry. I'm sorry, sis. I just couldn't face a world with no family. A world without you seemed so empty and pointless. I miss you all so much. Gil, your sister has been the victim of a terrible act, and then to lose your family. It's only natural to feel lost and alone. These are the times when we as humans need the most help. She knew you were hurting. She may even have stopped you from going through with it. You're alive. You're not a zombie, and you have the rest of your life to live and grow the way your family thought you would. So I'm not dead? No, but I don't think your sister will move on until you're safe. She needs to know you can let go of her. Can you promise that you won't try to follow? Gil looked at Carol. She smiled hopefully. I'm not sure. It's going to be hard without them. Your family will always be in your heart. With time and therapy, life will get better. I promise. Don't let Tobin claim another victim. Gil sat with the statement for a moment. Harold had stalked his sister and cut off her face. God knows what else he may have done. It was horrific and wrong, and the son of a bitch got away with it for 5 years. But what's his punishment really? Rotting in a cell? That's not fair. I want Tobin to suffer like my sister did, like all his victims did. I want him to live forever in agony, Gil stated. I understand that desire, but that anger is only going to hurt you. Harold isn't going to one day wake up and think, gee, I shouldn't kill people. Evil doesn't apologize. Evil doesn't care that it ruins lives. The best thing for you to do is make peace with the past and build a new future. How do I even do that? All I see is Carol's skinless face gasping for air every time I close my eyes. Gil, I never said it would be easy. It's going to take time and patience. The first step is saying goodbye to your sister. Let her know that you're going to get help. I'll work with you. We'll get through it together. I don't have insurance, Gil replied. You don't need to worry about that. Carol put her hand on Gil's and concentrated to make it corporeal again. He felt her hand pressed up against his. She mouthed, I love you. I love you too. I promise to get help. I won't try to follow you again. I want you to move on, okay? I'll see you at the end of a long life, sis. She smiled, leaned in, kissed him on the cheek, and faded away. You did great, Gil. Here's my number. Let's talk next week, and if you need anything in the meantime, call me. Thanks, Doc. Later that night, Perez sat thinking about everything that happened in the past 2 days. For the first time in a while, he thought he could help people and that he wasn't insane. It felt good. Perez picked up his phone and dialed the bar. Hey, Tandy, this is Dr. Perez. I wanted to see if you'd still like to have dinner tomorrow night. Perfect. I'll pick you up around 8. Never let someone live rent-free in your head, Fearlings. Life is too short. Would you like more stories with Dr. Perez? Be sure to tell us in the comments. If you like this Portents of Fear tale, consider joining our Patreon. There's a link in the description below. Want more horrific stories? Click on one of our other episodes on your screen now. Good night, Fearlings. Sleep well, if you can.